We are extremely fortunate to have as our commencement speaker today one of the most important and influential individuals in the world today. On a daily basis in leading the Ford Foundation, he undertakes bold actions that address the vast inequities that stunt the life possibilities for so many. He has said that, quote, inequality asphyxiates hope. And he would know something about that. Growing up in Ames, Texas, in a shotgun shack on a dirt road, he was fortunate to benefit from a Head Start program. His mother saved up and bought him an encyclopedia, one volume at a time. It was worth the investment. He went on to the University of Texas, acquired a law degree, and began the work of justice, moving from banking to community development to philanthropic leadership. A $16 billion international social justice philanthropy. The Ford Endowment donates $500 million a year. Under his leadership, the Ford Foundation became the first nonprofit in U.S. history to issue a $1 billion designated social bond to stabilize nonprofit organizations in the wake of COVID-19. Darren serves on many boards, including the National Gallery of Art, Carnegie Hall, the High Line, the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture, the Committee to Protect Journalists, Block Incorporated, and Ralph Lauren. It's too bad he's wearing a robe today because you would really be floored if you saw his dress. I asked him, being on the board of Ralph Lauren, do you get free clothes? He said no, but he gets free something because he is decked out wherever he goes. He has been included on numerous leadership lists, including Times. He's on the short list of the best dressed people in the world. But he's not superficial. Okay, he's a very deep brother. He's been included on numerous leadership lists, including Times' annual 100 Most Influential People and Out Magazine's Power 50. He's the recipient of 16 or more honorary degrees, Harvard University's W.E.B. Du Bois Medal, and he was named Wall Street Journal's 2020 Philanthropy Innovator. Here's the thing you need to know. Darren has traveled a path similar to yours. He has marshaled his extraordinary talents and his many connections to do what must be done, the work of justice. Please welcome him as your 2022 commencement speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. So good morning to the incredible, incomparable President Dr. Ruth Simmons, to the regents, deans, faculty, administrators, and staff, and most importantly, to you, the graduates. The class of 2022, congratulations to you. So there's no doubt that I am honored to be here with you, joining you, your loved ones, families, your teachers, celebrating this extraordinary achievement, this moment in your life. And I'm happy to be back home in Texas, not only because I get to cheer on my great friend, Dr. Ruth Simmons, on the eve of her retirement, but because this place, this community is my home. As she said, I grew up in Ames, Texas, Liberty County. I grew up in Baytown outside of Houston. And so from an early age, I revered Prairie View A&M and all that this great institution represents. I heard about it because my mother dreamed of coming to Prairie View, but her dream was not realized. Her family did not have the resources to make it possible for her to attend. So on this momentous occasion, you are carrying forward a very rich tradition. And looking into all of your faces here in this magnificent Panther Stadium, I can't help but think that you are the very embodiment of excellence. Each of you lives, breathes, and represents exactly what it means to be excellent. Now today, Prairie View A&M University is more diverse than ever. There are Panthers of every color and creed, and that beauty lies and rests in this remarkably, historically Black institution. So yes, the excellence I see before me is rooted in Black history, and it reaches far beyond it. I see Latinx excellence from across this state, where Latinos have shaped our history, our culture, our traditions from the very beginning. I see Asian American excellence, especially on this occasion when we celebrate AAPI history and heritage throughout the month of May. Excellence radiates from all of you. Now, of course, our excellence, so often the catalyst of innovation, of advances in every field, of progress toward our most noble ideals, the excellence that helped build this great country can sometimes go unrecognized, can sometimes go unappreciated. So today I ask you to explore an idea with me, to explore what Black and brown excellence means in a society that has not always valued it or believed in it. Regrettably, this is a truth that goes back to our very beginning. I think about Phyllis Wheatley, the author, the poet during the American Revolution, the first African-American woman to publish a collection of poetry and literature. At the age of 7, slavers kidnapped young Phyllis from the shores of West Africa and brought her to the Americas, where they sold her into bondage. As she grew up, Phyllis learned to read and write despite the risk associated with being literate and Black in America during that era. She learned Greek and Latin, poring over Homer, Horace, and Virgil. And somehow she had her first poems published at just 14 years old. She earned widespread acclaim for her beautiful poetry. But unfortunately, because of her acclaim, she became the victim as white elites of Boston grew suspicious of her. Indeed, a group of them actually sued her because there was no way a Black woman could have produced such beautiful words. Years later, even after the trial concluded, she continued to be slandered by Thomas Jefferson. But George Washington, however, was a believer in her work and ensured that Phyllis Wheatley's work was published. They doubted her. And unfortunately, this story is something that is too often a part of history in this country. And while I am happy of the progress we have made, I'm grateful to all of the Americans of all colors and creed who made this progress possible. I'm grateful to our ancestors and our elders. I'm grateful to Frederick Douglass, who dared us to dream of a multiracial, multi-ethnic, pluralist democracy. But if something about Phyllis's story rings true, if something in it feels on some fundamental level like it speaks to you or is just a little too familiar, that's because the insidious legacy of white supremacy remains all too clear and all too present in our society. There is no doubt that you've experienced doubt from the outside, this questioning of your excellence, of your ability. And if I'm to be honest and candid with you, I can certainly say that I have experienced this over my career. And unfortunately, graduates, I am sorry to say that your Prairie View degree will not shield you from these experiences, but it will strengthen your resolve to be excellent. I'm sad to say we live in a society where some people still question the excellence that Black people and people of color exhibit every day, where some still disregard our voices or deny our talent. we need look no further than the way our new Justice of the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson, was treated during her confirmation hearings. So I don't mean to remind you of this to bring you down. This is about celebrating you and lifting you up. But I do want to ask and do want us to remember that we need in these moments to find hope and inspiration. And for me, that hope and inspiration lies in our collective history as Black and brown people in America, in those who persisted, who made their way forward. I draw hope from our ancestors who, in the face of dismissal, lived excellent, from the communities who created their own celebrations of joy and who called into their own power. And in this context, let me say a word about the women in this audience in particular. Because as the son of a single mother who raised me to believe in me and my ability and who always supported and pushed me forward, I look to women, to amazing women past, present, who give me hope. I look to Fannie Lou Hamer, one of the most brilliant minds in American history, who brought thousands to the polls but was denied a seat at her own party's national convention. I look to Dolores Huerta, who organized poor and exploited migrant farm workers and founded the United Farm Workers and was the first Latina to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And of course, I look to Barbara Jordan, who made history as the first Black woman to represent Texas in the House of Representatives and whose fierce belief in the power of we the people sustained her long career. So here's the thing, graduates. As impressive as these women are, they didn't do any of this alone. They found strength and solidarity in communities like this community, in fellowship and affirmation in institutions like Prairie View A&M. I see students as I look out into this audience of color, building community, creating new paths. I see generations of knowledge passed down from professor to student, and just as often from student to professor. The thing undergirding all of this at every level is an idea that is sacred, a defining conviction of who we are as a people, that we are indeed excellent. And so, class of 2022, this leaves you with a profound gift, a solemn but joyful responsibility to put your education in the service of those that came before you, that you now must carry forward, to pave the way for those who will follow. For we are the dream of our ancestors. As Dr. Maya Angelou wrote, out of the huts of history's shame, we rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, we rise. A black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, we bear in a tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, we rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. We rise, bringing the gifts that our ancestors gave. We are the dream and the hope of the slave. We rise, class of 2022, we rise. And of course, there is one Black woman that I must speak about for one moment. Your university's iconic, indefatigable, legendary, dazzling president, Dr. Ruth Simmons. Now, when I think about excellence, I cannot think of a better example than you, Ruth. Or as I hear they call you down here, Ruth the Truth. Ruth the Truth. I hadn't heard that up in New York. I want to say, Ruth, you are among the noblest, servant leaders in America today. Indeed, you are one of the greatest leaders our country has ever produced. Ruth Simmons, the author, the protagonist of a most improbable, most remarkable, most American story. Born to a maid and a janitor, you made your way from a cotton field in Grapeland to the Ivy League, to the highest offices at Spelman, Princeton, Smith, and Brown, from segregated schools to the presidencies and boards of our nation's most revered institutions. And after that, what did Ruth Simmons do? Did she kick up her feet and rest on her laurels, write a memoir? Did she retire to a beachfront condo in Turks and Caicos? No, Ruth. She came home to Texas to do for other young people what was done for her. So class of 2022, although I know she is mortified and does not want me to go on about her, I have to say one thing. I have learned 3 things from this woman. 3 of what I call Ruth's truths. Truth number 1, do what's right. When I think about Dr. Simmons' many contributions, it occurs to me that much of her success followed from a single principle: do what's right. And I'll give you one example. In 2003, nearly 20 years ago, Dr. Simmons, then president of Brown University, set off a firestorm. She initiated Brown University's investigation into its historical relationship with the transatlantic slave trade. Now, she did this, of course, knowing that there would be opposition and controversy, but she knew that great institutions like great nations are strong enough to acknowledge our flaws and our failures. They are courageous enough to take what's wrong, a source of pain, and to make it what's right, a source of pride. She did the right thing at Brown because it was important and necessary. And she did it decades before the other universities and colleges joined in this effort. Truth number 2, lift as you climb. Your education and your careers are like ladders, not only for you, but for those who follow you. So don't pull that ladder up as you ascend. And finally, truth 3, always build bridges. The differences in our country and the divisions in our country are not the same thing. Difference does not inevitably lead to division. In our multiracial, pluralist democracy, we each may be different, yes, but our differences can be our strength, our superpower. Unfortunately, the divisions in our country today are a liability that autocratic, anti-democratic forces exacerbate and exploit through media. America needs leaders like Ruth Simmons, who are bridge builders. Ruth's career has been defined by building bridges. And so, in honor of that, I am happy to announce that the Ford Foundation is providing an initial $1 million gift in honor of Ruth Simmons to establish a Ruth Simmons Fund for Excellence at Prairie View A&M University. You stay there. So I want you to know, graduates, that you are excellent, and you have been led by a woman who exemplifies excellence. But she has also taught us that our excellence is not about accolades, titles, or financial rewards. It's about service to the communities we love, the communities from which we hail. So, class of 2022, with these extraordinary years behind you, with the world at your fingertips, the time has come for you to decide what you will do with your excellence, with the education you have gained from this great institution. I cannot promise that the path will always be smooth or straight, but I can tell you this: Prairie View A&M University has prepared you for this moment. It has prepared you for a lifetime of moments. I am confident that each and every one of you is ready to seize these moments. So, graduates, class of 2022, you will rise and you will lift your community, Texas, and your nation with you. And always remember, we rise, we rise, we rise. Congratulations.